people what your love life was like before we got together for the program.
So I was on the dating apps because I did want to meet somebody, but I was running a business. I had 4 kids in the house. I had 2 stepchildren out of the house. It was just busy. And so my goal was to go out for coffee 2 or 3 times a week, but it got where I didn't really care. It felt shallow almost. Like you're talking about what you had for dinner. I'd be jumping on the apps in and out, trying to navigate them while doing everything else. And it was getting a little bit tiring.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, it seemed like I'd find a guy, and it felt like he was getting the choice of men say was getting better, but it really wasn't because I would find out something crazy quicker and quicker. So I kept attracting these nice guys that had some dark thing, narcissist, sociopath. And there was a guy I was trying to date, and I just kept thinking, I need help. There's got to be somebody. And when I met Bari, she was trying to sell me her program, but I already knew she was the right person. I was like, just sign me up. I was desperate for change at that point. And nobody I knew had worked with Bari. So I thought, well, worst case scenario, if she's a scam artist, I'll call my credit card company and just get my money back. So I signed up. June 1st was my first day of 2020. That's right.
Right. It was COVID time, right?
Yes.
Yep. Yep. And what were your relationships like even before that? What was your relationship history like?
Well, my first husband, to be frank, is in prison. And you can imagine probably how that went. And so I wasn't going to date. We were married for about 10 years.
Yeah.
I just thought I don't even have the capacity to date. I was just trying to get out of that relationship, get the kids in a healthy situation,
Yeah.
and run my business. And so that was my focus until somebody introduced me to a guy from church. Then I learned I could date. So we dated for about a year. And that proved to me that I could date
Yes.
with what I had going on. And that relationship didn't pan out. So then I ended up just getting on the dating apps.
Right.
And that's how I met a few other people.
Right. Right. And but we see that you get back on the apps or you meet someone in this year and it doesn't pan out. So it's like another year.
So then I kept thinking maybe if I get to know them longer, I'll pick up this stuff quicker. It was just getting old, honestly, and I had a lot of stuff going on. So
Right. And you're successful in all the other areas. You're a great mom. She's an entrepreneur. She teaches her kids to be entrepreneurs, right?
yes, absolutely.
That's beautiful. So, how did a clear path to true wealthy love and working with me change your trajectory?
So it changed my trajectory because it changed my mindset 100%. And Bari, you saw some things that I didn't see, which is what I was hoping would happen.
Yeah.
Because I kept common sense says if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that's insanity. But I couldn't see what I was doing wrong. I just kept thinking I needed to get to know them longer.
Right.
And so, in fact, the guy that I'm married to, yeah, I was pretty much in disbelief because when I started with Bari, you picked your wedding date. So I started June 1st and I thought 121, and I felt like a fake because I'm like, there's no way. That's not enough time to meet somebody and get married. But I just picked it. I just went with it. And so I feel like Bari believed for me till I could believe for myself.
Right. Right.
So
And
what's the question?
no, you answered the question. Like, how did things change? So, what is your life like now? Tell us about Jonathan and what happened there.
So I had to get rid of all my apps and get rid of all my guys. And there was a guy that I was trying to date, but I couldn't commit to him because I needed to wait longer. Um, Basically, when I told him goodbye, I just said I got to work on myself and I got a FU bomb. And um, that was a sign right there.
Right.
So my life now is I'm with a man that is better than what I imagined, because I'm like, who's going to love somebody with 4 kids? I was hiding that initially from the app. But I want a man that's going to love my kids, not just tolerate them.
That's right.
And Jonathan totally wanted more kids. He only had a boy. And so I said, well, I fed and watered them while they were small. Here you go. So we're parenting 5 together. The 18 and 19-year-olds are now out of the house. So there's 3 in the house. And he is available, meaning here's an example from 2 days ago. He said he had an important deadline at noon. I forgot that. I called him panicking about some payroll issues at 11:45. So he missed the deadline to help me get my stuff done. Needless to say, I apologize to him for that, but he definitely prioritizes me and the family and the kids.
Oh,
And I can tell him stuff that feels scary and he doesn't freak out. He just listens and he leans in to change. If he can be better, he tries to do it. And those are not the types of responses that I got to before.
right, right. And so basically you changed your whole life, right? I remember one of your early dates when you went hiking, right? And you sat on a rock. I remember.
There's
Yeah.
some, yeah, but we, just so you guys know, I started with Bari June 1st. We were engaged 10/10/20. And then we got married 1/21/21. I've been emotional the last few days anyway, and I cry easy. Like, good thing I had last month. So we got married in his living room. That was kind of his dream, but it was on 1/21/21 was our legal wedding. And then I said if I got married again, I wanted to have a wedding on the beach. So
Oh.
we got married in Cabo on 4/3/21. He's a statistician. These dates are easy for me to remember. I love that. So we actually celebrate 3 anniversaries a year because Barry taught me you can do whatever you want.
That's
Different
right.
for different things, but
And what's meaningful, Jackie, for your kids that now you're married and you have this amazing husband? What's better about life for them too?
we traveled together, which was a dream of mine. I wanted to show the kids the world firsthand, and I was doing what I could as a single parent. It's also nice for them to have a stern father figure in their life. But they're all blessed for that.
Yes. No, beautiful. And in terms of getting your needs met, like we talk about emotional needs, we were talking about that today. How do you feel, in terms of getting your emotional needs met? You just gave that example about payroll and he was comforting. What else do you notice there?
I'm trying to think of an emotional need. I just feel like he's highly available. He's
Yeah,
there. He's
right,
kind.
right. And if he's available, right, I know we're going way back, right. But you have a new life.
Yes. And one of the things I learned from you, Barry, our first date was in Billings,
Yes.
June 6th. And then I told him I couldn't see him for 3 months because I was working on myself, but I had wanted to meet him. It was a 6-hour drive. His boy was leaving for the summer. So we went on our first date and I said, I know this is awkward, but I just hired a dating coach and I need to do this. And he had seen it. We just talked about this yesterday on Valentine's, but he said he had seen enough in me that he wanted to wait and
Mhm.
not. He had just got on Match and had only gone out. I was the second person he went out with. So I've got one guy giving me the F you, I would never bail on you. And you're bailing on me. And then I've got Jonathan sending me 100 roses because he couldn't buy 90 and a
Oh.
cards. I'll wait.
Oh, no, that
So
is really beautiful.
I
Yeah.
told him to keep dating. I said, good for you for getting on there. You've made a profile. You need to just keep doing that because he was single for 5 years. So I went ahead and did it, but I got through the first 3 months in 6 weeks. And then I messaged him and said, okay, I'd like to go on a second date. So then
Right.
I went to Jackson where he lives, and I already had told him that I didn't want to leave Billings, and he was willing, if things worked out, to move to Billings.
Yes.
But I thought Jackson was like flat. I don't know what, but it's gorgeous here.
Wow.
But
So
then
yeah,
he wanted to date me, Barry, and I said I couldn't because I was just entering the dating phase and I'd made my new app. And I felt kind of weird. Like I didn't feel totally comfortable and I didn't know what was going on. And when I talked to Barry, Barry said she reminded me of my old story that I don't deserve the things that I dream of. And I have to work and work and work. And she said, wouldn't it be like God to make this easy for you? So I never did put up my new profile. I never did. I went on one coffee date, but she said, if your vision, values, and goals line up, you're probably not comfortable because this guy is healthy. And
right.
so I got to know him and everything did line up and there we went.
There you go. And they got married. You know how people say, oh, this can't happen or that can't happen or COVID, it's hard. But we have a lot of clients that got married during COVID, and Jacqueline is one of them. Like it's all possible when you're out of your own way, right?
100%. And another thing, Barry, a tipping point, if I was going to tell anybody on this call something, I I wish the world in general or schools taught relationships and things like that. Because I feel like if you're not in a healthy relationship, it kind of messes up the rest of your life. And the costs of divorce are probably, in my situation, 100 times what I paid Barry. And so I already knew the cost of a poor choice and the emotional impact on the kids and I and counseling and IRS, and it goes on and on. So I was well aware that I needed to pick well the second time if I was going to marry again.
Exactly.
So I'd encourage you to test yourself. And also, if you don't meet your soulmate in the first year, don't give up because I've gotten to know another lady in the program and we visited a bit and she met her soulmate. It's beautiful. It wasn't in the year, but I'd say if you don't give up on Barry, she won't give up on you.
That's right. Exactly. And that was my last question, right? Divine providence really does kick in. And imagine if Jacqueline would have just not leaned into the discomfort of this man who was really leaning into her. So that is why we need someone to hold our hand so that we lean into something that is unfamiliar. So I think you've answered my last question, but what would you tell? We're on a workshop now, a 9-day workshop about people, like what advice would you give them when it comes to, saying yes to themselves and joining the program?
Well, absolutely. It changed my life. So again, I've seen a couple of people drop out of the program. And to me, that's giving up on Barry. Barry's not going to give up on you if you stick through it. So that's the first thing. The second thing I forgot.
Oh yeah, no, just what advice to
Oh,
invest in themselves
make
and
your vision board. Um, because I did that and I cut out pictures, had them on a board. And literally after I moved to Jackson, I looked at it and I'm like, wow, this has all happened. And so now I'm working on a new vision board
yeah,
of
right, a
what I want in life.
Oh, yeah, that is beautiful. Jackie, you're so generous to do this and with like 20 minutes notice driving. There's a full length interview with Jacqueline and her husband, and they're both speaking to us. So I'll share that with you. And Jacqueline, it's so sweet. She's always in her heart. She got very emotional about what she wants for everyone, in that interview. And we're so happy. We follow them and the things that they're doing and the travels and all the great stuff that's happening. So
And
does that,
very
yeah.
appreciate too that you didn't just cut me off after a year. It's called Barry after marriage things because it gets real when you're combining houses and kids and families. And so I appreciate that you've been available
No, of
to
course.
help.
And right now we have a continuation, right? We have a continuation program to answer all those questions. So yeah, it's very beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And we appreciate you. I love you guys. We stay very close with all our clients. So thanks, Jackie. You can drop off. Thank you so much. Love you.
Bye. Love you
Bye.
too.
Bye.